Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainam. The title of this video is Deorbit the International Space Station around 2030, right? And I just took that from the article that I'm going to read from Google, whatnot. And basically, Esau Edom is at his end. His whole system, is crumbling. All his infrastructure is crumbling, and I'm talking about America. Houses and things that has been built, are starting to explode. Bridges are starting to collapse. There is road work all over, America, right? Because they're trying to fix what is broken, right? America is done, it's finished, right? This is a kingdom that wasn't meant to last. And let me read this. It says, NASA and its international partners are preparing to deorbit the International Space Station ISS around 2030, right? So they're deorbiting it because what we're going to get into is that it's collapsing. Also, the parts there is basically deteriorating, right? And basically they have to deorbit it because it's a giant hunk of metal that will fall out the sky and hit anything, basically. So they have to fix it, kind of like they're fixing the roads and whatnot. And also, that's why the reset is coming. It talks of New World Order, right? This is things that the prophets of the Lord have been telling you for a long time now, that the international banking families want to, reset the world, reset the currency, bring in the digital age, implant the MTB into individuals, right? And bring on their digital society. So, that's what's happening. And it's the right time to do it because their system is crumbling. So NASA and its international partners are preparing to deorbit the International Space Station ISS around 2030 with plans for a controlled re-entry into Earth's atmosphere over a remote area in the South Pacific. NASA is working with SpaceX to develop a U.S. deorbit vehicle that will dock with the ISS and perform the final maneuvers to safely deorbit it. The ISS is expected to be decommissioned as NASA transitions to commercial space stations for research and technology development. See, so they're trying to, in a lot of areas, change everything. Like Trump came into office and he said he changed the military. They built a new space force and things like that. And along with the space force, they're going to be destroyed just along with these satellites and space stations and things like that when Yahweh returns. So this is not going to be quick at all. Just going to trumpet on it in the news. Here's an article or a video on this.
2nd of November 2000, Since the 2nd of November 2000, there has always been someone above your head in space orbiting the Earth. That's when the first crew docked to the International Space Station, and it's been continuously inhabited ever since. During the last quarter century, the station has grown from 2 connected pieces to the size of a football pitch, but that also means many of the parts on board are a quarter of a century old, and in some cases even older. And the ISS is showing its age, with failing parts, oxygen leaks, and the station even spinning out of control a few years ago. With the ISS set to be deorbited in 2030, can it even make it that long? And what's being done to keep the station and its crew safe until that point? The year 2000 might have been when humans began permanent residence on station, but the ISS itself goes back further than 25 years, more like 40 years. In 1984, then President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, proposed the US building a space station known as Space Station Freedom.
Tonight, I am directing NASA to develop a permanently manned space station and to do it within a decade.
And early shuttle missions tested out techniques to construct the station in orbit. Then came delays and budget cuts. A shocker, I know. Europe and Japan were working on modules for the station, while Russia was simultaneously working on their own station, Mir 2. In the mid-90s, all of these countries decided to throw out the recipe book, mix everything into one pot, and utilize the parts and modules already built, but for this new international space station project. About 10% of the modules on the current day station date back to the Freedom Station, and parts are showing their age. The most significant current issue relates to one of the first segments ever docked, Zvezda. Literally translating to star in Russian, it launched on a Proton emblazoned with the Pizza Hut logo, long story don't ask, and arrived in orbit in July of 2000. It has living quarters, life support systems, power distribution, propulsion systems, instruments, has a system that allows remote commands to be sent from controllers on the ground, and serves as the main docking port for Russian vehicles like Progress resupply vehicles and crewed Soyuz spacecraft. And now it has an oxygen and pressure leak. First noticed in 2019, the leak is in a tunnel between the living quarters and the docking segment. It started off as concerning, but it was manageable until this year. In February, the leak rate jumped to 1 kilogram per day and then increased to nearly 1.8 kilos per day in April. For reference, the ISS is continuously pressurized to approximately 1.013 bar, the standard atmospheric pressure at sea level on Earth. Russian officials say they're not terribly worried about it, but NASA disagrees. It's now gotten to the point where whenever Russians are working in the tunnel area, astronauts on the American side of the station will close the hatch between them and the entire Russian segment. And using a special risk matrix, it's a 5 by 5. Not like 5 by 5 if you can hear us in chat. 5 by 5 means the likelihood of a problem and the potential consequences, both of which are at the maximum. If it gets too bad, they'll have to seal off the leaking area permanently, which means one less docking port that the station can use. The biggest problem, according to a report from the NASA Office of the Inspector General, is that neither side can agree on the cause of the leak or what each defines as too bad. Speaking of
Right, they're even divided up in space. Esau has problems and troubles on every side. Right, totally just losing here in these last days. Right, this is Obadiah 1:1. It says the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. So everyone around the world, as you know, in these last days are starting to hate Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Because why? You have Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, basically, not listening to laws and killing people, right? And the world is upset about that. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, to the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. And as you can see, they're already preparing to, bring this down, basically, because it's not in their power, it's not in their strength, right? The Lord controls everything. They can't keep that station up there, so they got to bring this down. And it's around the time where we're at the end, right? When he's going to be brought down anyway, right? Yahushua is going to come and destroy everything up there, any space station up there, satellites and whatnot, all of that stuff is to eventually come down to the ground. So, that's called Halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, right? All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, at the water that we're seeing the fall of our enemies. All right, Lord willing, this video has been edifying and, informative to you. I'll say shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.